It's totally surreal that something like this could happen. As an adult now, I look back and think, how could the federal government do this to us?
You should be able to go and turn your faucet on and know that safe, clean drinking water is coming out, and that is not the case. Our lives have been affected and forever changed because of these chemicals.
The people that we need to rely on to protect us are not protecting us.
That's why it's so important that we work with the EWG and hold our polluters accountable. They are affecting people and they're making people sick. We cannot wait another minute. I grew up smack in the middle of two separate military bases, about 2 miles from each. One was the former Naval Air Base, and the other one is now the Horsham Air Guard. They both became Superfund sites, one in the 80s and one in the 90s.
I always had like some ill feeling of something was wrong. All of our animals died of cancer, our dogs and cats. The neighbor died of a brain tumor in, I think, '89. My dad died in '90 of a brain tumor. And then 3 months after burying my dad, I actually had stage 4 cancer.
There were a lot of people in our town that were sick. There were a lot of cancers, and it seemed to be at rates that were not the same in our town as they were in other parts of the country. When my oldest son was 6 years old, he was diagnosed with a cancerous brain tumor. After our son's surgery, they started pummeling us with these questions. Where do you live? Where did you grow up? Where was your early pregnancy? Have you or your husband ever worked with chemicals or pesticides? It wasn't until that moment that I ever thought about environmental influences to my health. I did eventually find out that there were some news articles, but nobody was paying attention. There was TCE, PCE found in our water, there was lead found in our water. So there were some flags, but everything clicked and everything came together when we learned about PFAS. PFAS is used by the Department of Defense in their fire training exercises. And unfortunately, when they did fire training exercises, they would use a lot of it and it would end up seeping into groundwater. And then that groundwater was what fed our municipal wells.
Our well was 25 foot from the Navy baseline. The runway was right across the street. The firefighting training center was right across the street. So we had so many signs and so much pollution.
PFAS crosses the placenta. It can affect a developing fetus. It causes second-generation health effects, cancers, tumors, neurodevelopmental problems. These are forever chemicals, and they're called forever chemicals for a reason. They live in our bodies for decades, and they live in the ground for decades, and they're really, really hard to get out of the ground, to get out of the human body. It's overwhelming to be told that your exposure might have actually caused your child's cancer. It's horrible. And
Mother's worst nightmare.
You know, that's why Hope and I do what we do, and that's why we are so willing to work with the Environmental Working Group and try to get meaningful legislation passed to put an end to this. No community should have to go through what ours has.
Joanne and I get emails every week. Our classmates, I feel like once a week someone's dying at 50 years old. There is so much disease and cancer in our town that it's frightening.
That's why it's so important that we work with the EWG to be able to get voices heard. I testified in front of the Senate thanks to EWG. Because until this legacy pollution gets cleaned up, we are all at risk. You're all at risk. I mean, PFAS is everywhere. We are more than numbers on a graph. We are more than dots on a map. We are real people, real affected community members, and the legislators really need to hear that. You know, they hear the science, but they need to hear the true stories, how our lives have been affected and forever changed because of these chemicals.
It's a great relationship for us because, you know, we're two little moms in this little town, and it's so hard to gain respect. EWG has helped us lobby, you know, get in front of politicians, tell our stories, and EWG's been able to bring us to the right people.
What gives me hope amidst kind of this dark topic is people. People like Hope and The amazing men and women that we are honored to work with at the National PFAS Contamination Coalition, they are warriors, not giving up the fight, and we will not stop until we have federal drinking water standards for PFAS, until PFAS is deemed a hazardous substance under CERCLA, and until we hold the polluters accountable.